Hello and welcome to your second stimulus check and stimulus package update. Please excuse this brief interruption, but after the recording of the following video, some urgent news came out regarding the stimulus that I just needed to put up front because it kind of changes some of the context of the video. President Trump has said he is calling off stimulus negotiations with Democrats until after the November 3rd elections, and this is a direct quote from him. "I have instructed my representatives to stop negotiating until after the election, when immediately after I win, we will pass a major stimulus bill that focuses on hardworking Americans and small businesses." So this is, of course, unfortunate for everyone who wanted a stimulus passed before the elections, but it's important to remember that this is just one person in the entirety of all the stimulus bill. There's a lot of other moving parts here, and this doesn't necessarily mean what he says goes in this situation. So the following video still has a ton of updates and information that is 100% relevant, but I just needed to say this beforehand just so the context is understood in that matter. So enjoy the rest of the video. We have a lot to unpack today. New negotiation updates, a warning from the Fed, some interesting data about the first stimulus check and what it was spent on, and some finance news that I'll cover at the end of this video. There is a ton to cover here, so just make sure you watch through to the end so you're completely updated for today. Stimulus negotiations are heating up, well, at least compared to the recent past. Trump is back and stating, "We're going to get back to work. Don't let the virus dominate you. Don't be afraid of it." The thought is that Trump getting the virus himself may provide the spark the Senate needs to get something passed. Although in that video, the president did seem to have just a little bit of difficulty breathing, so that goes to say something. Yesterday, Mnuchin and Pelosi met together yet again for an entire hour, of course, reaching no new deal. By met, I mean over the phone, still better than nothing, and still some progress. So here we are today with both of them again planning to meet today and craft a relief bill, reach some negotiations, hopefully. Referring to Mnuchin and Pelosi's conversation, Kilgore from New York Magazine wrote that an hour-long phone conversation at this point is more than a symbolic gesture, inferring that things should be coming to a head very soon. And I think this is actually a great point. Like I mentioned yesterday, any action, any news is good news at this stage because it means attention is being given to the issue. I know many feel like this is no progress, like we're still just spinning our wheels because we've been strung along for so long. But just think about it this way. 3 weeks ago, we were in a situation where Mnuchin and Pelosi hadn't even spoken to one another in weeks. Now we're getting daily, hour-long conversations. That in itself is some good news. That in itself is some progress. And that being said, there is a bit of a caveat here, though. McConnell called off Senate business until the 19th of this month. With at least 3 Republican senators testing positive with COVID and 2 more in quarantine, this is likely to stop more spreading of the virus. And this is because the Senate has yet to come up with a system for large-scale proxies or remote voting. Basically, we're 6 months into the pandemic, and it appears the Senate has not figured out how to do a Zoom call. Mitch McConnell has also stated that anything more than $2 trillion in package size will not pass. He wants a small package, which is a little bit frustrating because, well, 2 trillion is of course less than 2.2 trillion, the updated HEROES Act size. The largest official offer on the Republican side is $1.6 trillion, but it's a good sign that 2 trillion is even in the conversation. He didn't say we wouldn't vote anything greater than 1.6, he said 2 trillion. But if one side could just bite the bullet here, we could all just rest a little bit easier. The revised bill pushes for a 15% increase in food stamps, $600 a week unemployment until January 31st, with retroactive payments from September 6th, totaling around 4 months or around $12,600 for the 22 million plus unemployed. It's hard to see the Senate approving that scale. However, I believe that this is an area with some wiggle room, as in the past, Democrats have stated they don't need unemployment at $600 per week, but it does need to be higher than $300 per week. Even a drop from $600 per week to $500 per week would lower the total bill cost by about $46 billion. However, the Senate has us stuck until the 19th, no matter the news we hear today anyways, unless there is an emergency vote in which the Senate would have 24 hours to get back to Washington. So from here, let's go to some certain good news. The IRS has extended the deadline for non-filers from the first stimulus check by an additional 5 weeks. They went from October 15th to November 21st. On top of this, they said that most people should receive their first stimulus check within the next 3 weeks if you haven't already. I know it's absolutely insane that there are still people who haven't received the first check yet, but this is great news for those of you who have been waiting and staying afloat. So if you're in that group of people, fill out the non-filers tool and get your check. I still see comments every once in a while from people saying they haven't received the first stimulus check. Fill out that non-filers tool if that applies to you. From here, I found some interesting statistics that I wanted to cover. Taking a look at the first stimulus check, the National Bureau of Economic Research surveyed between 80,000 and 90,000 people to see how much of the first stimulus check has actually been spent. This is important because in order for a stimulus to, stimulate the economy, we need people to spend the money. Saving the money doesn't get the economic wheels turning. To find out how effectively this check is being spent, the Bureau of Economic Research tracked daily purchases of stimulus check recipients. Savings, debt payments, durable goods such as houses or apartments, cars, food, and other consumer spending were all options for the participant to fill in the dollar amount that they use from their stimulus check. So they found that only 15% of people spent most of their full $1,200 stimulus check. And they also found that the total amount spent as of right now is about $4 for every $10 that was given out. The majority of people were found to be using the stimulus check for debts or to keep for a rainy day or to put in the stock market, like if you use my link below with Webull, where you'll receive a completely free stock when you open an account and deposit $100. Finally, the last stat from the research done that I found interesting is they asked people how the stimulus check affected their work efforts. 20% of those who were unemployed responded by saying they actually looked harder to find a job. So this is really interesting. Like I said, we want people to spend the stimulus money. If they're all saving it, this isn't going back into the economy. It's not going to businesses. It's not helping to save jobs. But people are scared right now. They don't know how long the pandemic is going to last, so they're holding on to the money. It's kind of a tough situation. But moving on from here, Federal Reserve Board Chair Jerome Powell has issued a warning. He says failure to provide further support for the economy could lead to a downward spiral of layoffs and economic decline. This is most prominent with airline employees. I've said this a million times. There's 10 million people who are employed by the airline industries. All across the nation, small businesses that have been fighting to keep their doors open will have to shut them soon if nothing is done, Powell says. Powell also states that there is a low risk by overdoing a stimulus. He's saying that if we spend too much, it's really not a big deal. His exact quote is, "By contrast, the risks of overdoing it seem for now to be smaller." He warns that although some markets are on the rise, backing off now would not have positive results. With 661,000 jobs gained back in September, the numbers are set to still spiral down if we don't actively work on them. Now back to negotiations, which is nearly a daytime soap opera drama at this point. It's insane. When Pelosi was asked if they would reach an agreement come the weekend, she said it depends on whether they really want to crush the virus, honor our heroes, and put money in the pockets of the American people. The updated HEROES Act brings most of the first stimulus program back for another round with some changes here and there. One major change on this bill is the $500 payments per dependent. This is a question that I've seen in the comment section a ton, so I thought I'd address it. The last bill only gave out this $500 payment for dependents 17 and younger. This time around, with the updated bill, all dependents, regardless of age, qualify for the $500. This includes college students, disabled adults, elderly dependents, everyone who is a dependent on someone else's tax form. On top of this, there are a few other small changes, including a call for more medical funding with $75 billion going towards testing and contact tracing. Education and childcare would receive $225 billion, $436 billion in state and local aid, more Paycheck Protection Program funding for small businesses, and a one-year suspension of the GOP tax laws, the $10,000 cap on deducting state and local taxes. So with the latest bill being $200 billion over what the Senate majority can stomach, we can only hope they will pass it, or the House will find something in today's negotiations that bring it down to a cool, even $2 trillion or less maybe. I mentioned doing a live stream the other day, and I'm still thinking about doing a live stream for the next debate. Joe Biden has said that he will still debate if Trump is in good health, and with Trump's recent messages, I have a hard time seeing him backing down from the debate, so I'll be watching closely to see if they're going to go for it. In which case, if they do, I plan on doing some kind of casual viewing of the debate live on this channel. And then to end this off with some quick financial news, Boeing has reevaluated their 10-year sales goals, and they predict a drop in 11% of new airplanes needed in the next decade. And they go on to say most new plane purchases will be to replace old planes, not to expand fleets. And Boeing also believes global travel demand will not recover to pre-pandemic levels until after 2024. Also in the news, Apple is planning on making some changes to the iPhone that will allow users to block applications from tracking them or offering personalized ads. Facebook, who of course makes all of their money off of our ads and essentially off of all of us, has a huge issue with this and are stating it's unfair to small businesses who run ads. And I can tell you, as a small business owner myself, if Apple indeed finds a way to increase privacy on this end, I will be switching to iPhone. So that's all we have for today. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.